Hello and welcome. This is to maybe be a new series on the channel. It is going to be called a deep dive, is the series name. This may be the first of one or the first of many, we'll see how this goes. So I'm looking at Modulus factory automation. Did a quick look with Steve a week or so ago on this. This is going to be a deeper dive, or what its name implies. We're going to deep into the game. We're going to play it for longer, and also we're going to dive into the settings and that sort of stuff as well. So we'll see how this goes. Let's look at the menu first. We've got your standard stuff, settings, quitting, all that kind of stuff. Manual. Let's go into manual, which is pretty neat. It's all in there, how to move around and how to use the game. Settings has your usual sort of settings, display of resolution, etc., frame rate, that sort of stuff, audio. Pretty standard stuff. Not a lot in the accessibility section about language and control, sensitivity, etc., that sort of thing. Controls allows you to rebind the old keys. No controller support with this game yet. I'm not sure it's going to come, but it would be kind of neat if it did. Other is where you can find some others about running background, auto saving, setting that interval. This Modulus OD, I'm assuming it's got some role at some level. And also there's a privacy setting. They do collect data, although there was some early issues around what was in that privacy policy, so I've disabled it for the time being. But yeah, that's pretty much the settings. Not a lot to get into there, but pretty standard stuff. Load allows you obviously to load into saves, and creative mode will jump into probably towards the end of the video to see what that's like. But first off, we're going to do a new game. Oh, that's interesting. That's new. They didn't have that before. This was just this before. Handcrafted load on design. Yes. Larger. We'll stick to this one first, and then we'll load into my save as well. We'll include the tutorial, and we'll call this SIPG Deep Dive. And off we go. So, Modulus is a factory building game, as its name implies. It is... I'll talk over this. It is based very similar to a Satisfactory, but obviously from a different perspective. It is probably got more in line with probably Factorio to a degree. Again, not 100%, an equivalent, but very close. But in terms of its sort of perspective that it plays as. This little guy is going to help us out with the tutorial, and we are diving in. So before we go any further, let's just get rid of these for a second. So we'll just zooming right, middle mouse button, sorry, zooms in and out and getting quite close. Right, hold down that middle button, you can scroll around, or you can use the right mouse button to hold that down and to zoom in. You can see in the back end there, you've got all these other islands that are available to us. At some point, we do in fact expand to those. So you can see we've got all these, and each of these islands have different levels of resources on them, and different resources. So yeah, the game is actually, the tutorial is actually quite specific in how it wants me to do certain things. And we start with these polyrock resource nodes. You can see we've got 4 of them. We've actually got an absolute bucket load in this corner. We've also got more in this corner, more in that corner, and more in that corner. So we've got a whole bunch of them. We've got this pre-built factories. This one's a basic core facility. It's not actually been built yet, but the foundations are there for it, so to speak. And the other thing that's in this part of this game is this thing here. This is the delivery dock. Because somewhere in one of these little tutorial steps will feed stuff into that. Because apparently there are people living under here or something. I'm not really sure how that... it was something I spotted when I was playing this game earlier, that there was some sort of mention of people living underneath it, but I didn't really pay much attention to it. So if we get to that point in the tutorial, we might actually focus more on what they say. And these vents don't, as I said, they're probably for the people below, but they don't play any role. You can't get rid of them or anything like that. Let's go across the top of the screen. We've got all the standard top left-hand corners with your current progression. We'll come back to that as we progress along. You've got some resources in top middle here. These are the main resources that you are keeping track of. There's no building resources like through a lot of other games like this, where you've got to build, you've got to keep things like wood and those sort of things. That isn't part of this game. And on top of the right-hand corner, you've got your controls about speed, pausing the game, reporting bugs, undo, and also mini-map, which is just the map of all these little islands floating around. And that implies there's another delivery dock over there. Give me a sec, I just want to look at this over here. There might be another... Yes, another... Oh, that's interesting, so there are other delivery docks. Interesting, okay. Alright. That's where we got a bit sidetracked. Freighters, I have no idea what that is. I haven't unlocked that yet, and there is some sort of... some sort of day-night cycle. Alright, let's put it on the auto. Bottom row is, or top left-hand corner is some controls you can use within the game. They're unlocked as we go along. We'll come back to that. And you can see a whole bunch of locked icons on the bottom here. These are all the build options. And as we progress, they will become unlocked per these categories that we've got as well. We're going to start with the miner here. You can rotate it by pressing R. And you can, not that it makes a difference here, but you can press T for mirror. There is some buildings that comes in handy. We'll do that later. It does do 15 per minute. Now, unlike Satisfactory so far that I've played of it, there's no way to make it faster. So at this point, we'll just lay this down as the game wants me to, which is the hotkeys there. 4 is obviously to get to that really quickly. And it wants me to do lay it out like that. If I did it any other way, it wouldn't even let me put the building down. Right mouse button to clear your selection, which is a really neat thing. So, furnace is exactly what it sounds like. Now this is where the mirror comes into play. If I just rotate that so we can see it. If I press T for mirror, it's going to flip the input. Oh, well, it should do. In this case, it's going to let me do it. Anyway. And we'll plonk it where it says to. We've got an input marked by the blue arrow, and an output marked by the green arrow. So we're plonking down where the game wants me to put it. And the other thing too that this game does do, which I think it might be somewhat unique, is that you can actually put the conveyor belt, which is hotkey number 1, can actually go through the miner. So I build it and do that. It's actually put the conveyor belt through the other miner, and it's now leading into our furnace. Each of these is doing 15 a minute, as we do by that hover there. 15, 15, 15, 15. So that's 60 combined. You can see here the furnace takes 60 a minute, but only outputs 15 a minute. So we've basically gone, slowed that down to a degree. Pressing 1, and we'll build a 3. This is where this game, I think, kind of really sort of shines a little bit, is that you've got these machines you can place down called cutters, and they do exactly what their name implies. They cut up the input. So this thing will always build as you can see by zooming right in, will always build a 4x4 cube. See by that? A 4x4 cube. That's what the furnace will always do. You've got a control of that. That's just what it does. The cutter does exactly what it says. It will actually slice it and dice it. So you can rotate in two different directions on axis, but you can also cut it. So this will cut it into one sort of row. This will cut it into 2. This cuts it into 3, but leaving 1 left over, and this doesn't cut at all. It leaves it into one output. We wanted to cut it into 2, so we're going to click that button there. You can see it's now cutting that in half and giving us our 2 outputs. And it's coming 15 and coming out 30. 15 left, 30 on the right. So we click configure. And now we've got to build this thing. But you've got to build a couple of pieces to actually start building this thing here. So you click on that. It needs this shaped bit of item and this one. So we've got to build both of those and feed into this core facility. So the assembler does exactly what it says. It assembles bits and pieces. So we're going to place our assembler down. Then we're going to put in a splitter. And again, we'll see if the game will let me do this in this mode. Nope, it's not going to let me. This is where you can flip the mirror, though, to flip the input. But I think the tutorial is very set. So we'll go and build that, and that's going to take the, remember, it's 30 minutes out of that, and it's going to feed it into this thing. You've got no control over what this does. It's just going to split it and feed it into the assembler. And the assembler is effectively, in effect, the opposite of the cutter. We click into that, and it's now got our two pieces are coming in. They happen to be the same. We drag them over to this right-hand sort of section on the right here, and we can rotate each piece round, line them up to make our piece we need. So 15 in from both pieces, combine 30, combine into one piece, output is 50. We click configure to save that.
New module created.
And now we're going to feed that to this thing. So to do that, we need to click on this and add a crane. You can actually have the crane go all out, but it's, as I said, the tutorial is very set in its ways, and it wants me to build a conveyor belt through to there. If we click on this thing, if we click on this, you'll see this number here that's in red will start to go up. Let's get out of the way. 2. That's it. And this is the very neat thing that I was saying earlier. On the right hand and left hand side, you've got all these options here. So you've got delete, which removes a building or a piece of whatever. Z would clear the. Let me just get off that for a second. Would clear the belt of items. E will move something, so if you've placed it wrong, you can move it. But more importantly, and what we're going to use now is we're going to use this copy tool. So we need to basically make, if you look at our remaining piece we've got to make, which is this one, we're going to make that shape. But we're going to need the same 4 miners. We've got they happen to be exactly the same pattern here. We need a furnace, and we're going to need a cutter to cut our new piece in. So by clicking the C copy, we can drag. Oh, try that again. We can drag over a whole section, and it copies it exactly. We can place it down, and we've now got the exact same production layer. So, that is a very neat little tool. There's a similar thing inside Satisfactory called Blueprints. I'll compare a lot of things to Satisfactory while we're playing this. But it doesn't have, it's not, it is kind of that, but to do in that kind of setup in Satisfactory, you'd have to have probably multiple blueprints to do this bit, and then one to do this bit, and maybe one to do that bit. You can join those blueprints together, so you'd have the same outcome. But yeah, it's a very neat little tool. The other thing you might have also noticed is no cost to put these items down. No cost to put them on down, etc. That is a difference from Satisfactory. Is that there is a cost to build the machines in the first place with Satisfactory. And I think I've actually done this wrong because we need to get into there. What is it? I just lost track of what I'm doing. Alright, we need to cut slightly differently. Oh, I see what it's doing. Okay, right. Just had forgotten from memory how to do this. How do we get out of that for a second? Thank you. Right. So we're basically going to build the exact same thing because we need that shape that we've got sitting here. We're going to basically slice that with a cutter. So let's get the assembler down, which is that one. I'm going to build the exact same thing. Rotate him, put them together, and configure that. Therefore we'll come out of here into a cutter, which will then, as we've got to build this, if we were to cut like that, you can see we'd end up with, what's that? We'd end up with two of those, which you can join to one piece, and that to join another piece, so we will do that. From here we'll go to another belt run into a splitter, because now we're going to split all those pieces into that, into a assembler, where we get that, and we get that, and we are then rotate it a different couple of ways, and then we've got our piece we're after.
New module created.
Wants me to build two cranes, which we'll do there and there. That's not what I wanted to do. So there's that mirroring thing that I was referring to. So that will split it either way. And see in the top there, this is now actually building. You can see the when it's put the 148 pieces in, you'll see this thing actually start to build. Now, what it wants us to do is, while we wait on the complete, we can already place a harvester pad that will collect those resources. So this thing will eventually start making an item, and that item needs to be stored somewhere, and that's what these harvester pads do. So we're going to place a harvester pad, and that's opened up more items on the toolbar here, and we've got our first thing here. Now I'm getting going to place this a little bit more central than what I did when I first played this. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Click off that first and click off that. And hopefully get rid of that thing. There we go. We're going to put it. We're eventually going to feed some stuff into here. So I'm just going to put this harvester pad in a row here. Click on the harvester pad, and we're going to link up to two buildings to another facility. So we click on that and we click on that. Now this thing that makes things will now get flown over and landed over here. And then we're going to build a basic bot assembly, and now we're into this other menu here. So that's a basic core facility, that's this thing. Now we're going to build a basic bot assembly, small. I just want to just zoom in on here while this thing, see how it's actually animating the build as it goes along. Little bits and pieces are coming into here, this is nearly done, just got a 9 or so to go. Okay, so we need to place down this basic bot small assembly. So let's have a look at what we need to do to build it first. We need that shape, and then we need that shape. So that is similar, well, it's the same shape as we did here, that same shape, but it's in that colour. So we've already got an assembly line that basically builds that exact shape. We've got it all through here. Oh, that's now finished. And now when you'll start to see when this thing actually builds a core module, which is what it's doing now, it will fly, a little drone I think will fly that from here and land over here. It needs 4 and 8 to build it. Resources to build it, and there's the first one then flying across. Over here, it's basic collecting basic cores. 240 is a maximum. Alright, let's look at this other one. So we could try and build it in this area using 4 of these, because we need 4 miners as we did with this whole production line here. I think we might... So I'm going to build, which piece we'll build first is we will build... Probably make this quite compact, so let's just figure out where we're going to build the main building, this facility first. Let's see if we can put it... Let's see if that will give us... What will be the best spot? We'll see. We know what it needs to need. We need this shape. 1 by 4 by 8, or 32 pieces altogether. And then we obviously need our 2 by 8 by 2, but it needs to be in this black. To change that, we're going to need a monotoner, which is how we turn something into a different colour from the standard white, which is actually this building here. But first, let's just drag what we're going to need. We won't read the miners on this our copy. We're going to grab... You might just build this from scratch, actually, I think, rather than copying that. We know what we've got to copy in terms of the production line, but let's build it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've actually got 1, 2, 3. Which miners can we use? We need to build miners first. So let's grab that one, that one, that one. Rotate that way. So we'll come that way, we'll go that way, and go that way. Let's do that. So I think that's, yep, that's all joined up. So it's going there, going, yep, that's fine. We'll put the furnace right there. And again, I'd like to mirror that, so I'm going to flip it round so that my input is there. And then we'll come out a couple, and then we first need, I'm pretty sure it was the cutter, yep. 6. We'll cut that into half like we figure. Eject that, and then we're going to go split her into an assembler. So I'm going to really compact this up by putting the splitter right there and the assembler right there. From that we've got our pieces, so we'll grab our 2, rotate them, drag them to join, and then we will go from that into another cutter. Creating that. Actually, yeah, do another cutter. We'll put that right. Oop, that's not the right thing. 6 I want. There. Cut that like that. Get our 4 pieces. Straight into a splitter. Mirrored, so we get it on the right side. Into an assembler. to assemble it the way we needed to. And configure that. And now we've got, basically now got this whole production line in a much smaller footprint. Could have even made it small if I'd put that up there. So now we've got this shape, we now need to put into the monotoner, which is this guy, into there. That can go from one colour to the other one.
Created.
There we go. We've now created that. Now we've just got to feed it to this guy here. Add a crane. Put the crane there. And go from there to there. So that's the first piece needed. Right, let's have a look at this last one. So the last one is this 1x4x8 shape. Okay, so we need to make a 1x4x8. So we'll start with the basics. We'll grab a 4 miners. Do the same thing. We'll go that way, that way, that way, that way. We'll go to there. Not too sure. Yeah, that did work. So all those 4 are joined. Cool. And then we might actually make this one. We'll see how we go. So first off, we need a good old furnace. And we'll go now. We need to make it. We need to cut it, so we're going to the cutter next. We cut it that way. We'll get one piece that we were after, so we'll do that. Again, we go straight to the next splitter. We'll put it into an assembler. Let's grab that piece, rotate, grab that piece, rotate, join them together, and we have our
New
mess.
module created.
That was a much easier production line. And then we'll grab our crane. Done. So we're going to build a basic processing plant, which is this guy. So we can hover over the bits that it needs. Okay, so basically it needs that piece that we built here, for that one. We need that colour, and then we need the monotone one that we created for this one. So we need to replicate that production line twice, one without a monotone and one with, as that will give us that shape. And here we need to have what we just built, but with a monotoner, so that production line, but with a monotoner, to turn that into the grey one, the black one. And then we need, interesting, we need that shape, which is sort of like half of that. Yeah, so we could build one of these production lines into a splitter, cut that in half, one goes into monotone and one doesn't, then we've got that piece. So we need that production line as well. So we've got to build this thing first, so we've got to build this guy. Question is, of course, is where? So let's just have a look at this production line again. So we need this production line. So we need 4 miners, furnace, cutter, splitter, assembler, cutter, splitter, assembler, then a monotone of one of them. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basically need that. We can do this in a relatively short space of time, or space. So let's try and build this thing here. And we'll build it there. We'll build it there. Because what we can do is we can grab 1, 2, 3, 4 miners there. So we go 4, no, 4. We'll grab that one, that one, that one, and that one, and go right through that. In fact, we may even then go this way with it. Put it straight into the furnace, which will flip that way. Into a cutter. No, didn't want that. Into a cutter. So cut it that way inward. No, where do we want it to cut first? Half. So we cut that and cut it in half. Then we have it going into a splitter. Which will not rotate, but into an assembler. Assemble this shape. And then we'll go straight into a cutter to cut that in half. What am I doing here? Have I done that right? Looks like we're going there. So yes, we want to cut that way. Rotate it that way. No. That way, and cut it that way, I think. Let me check. Yes. Right. So, rotate, flip, cut that way, figure that. And then we'll go this way, so we need to turn that way, and we'll go into a splitter. Now we'll split that into 2 pieces. We need to make one colour on the other one, so we've basically got that. We need to go into monotone with one of them. So if we go with that one, which will make it that colour, then we go into an assembler. So we bring that one in and that one in to make our
New
piece that we
module
need.
created.
And then we'll add a crane here. Actually, we'll go straight into that. So it's a lot of what I'm doing now. Not to be, it's fairly what this design is. What's the next piece we've got to make? We've got to make this piece. Okay. So we want to replicate the furnace to that, to that, to that to make this. No, actually, no, to make. Don't need to go that far with it. To make that piece, and then split that to then have those two pieces, and then have one colour on the other one. So okay, so we'll replicate 4 miners, furnace cutter, assembler cutter, and go from there. So that'll give us those two pieces, and then we're going to make a very similar arrangement to make this big piece. So alright, so we've got 4 miners, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll use those. Go, go that, shame, that way, that way, that way. I've got that now, too hard to tell. Out of that, into that, into that. Yep, that's it. Okay, so first off we need a furnace. Let's go grab the furnace. That one. Mirror that, so we'll join it. Yeah, lost my selection. Okay. Right. That to go straight into a cutter. Cut that way. Might turn this up here. And that to go into a splitter, which we will rotate into an assembler. Doing that piece, that piece. Actually, that might come in handy actually. Let's do that. So it's going to come out of that like that. If we then put that straight into a cutter, come out as a design and rotate it. That way. Let's leave that, and then we'll feed that into another cutter. We'll feed it into another cutter and feed it that way. And that gives us 1, 2, and that gives us that piece, and we can turn into that piece as well. This might end up being not enough sort of throughput, but we shall see. So from that we'll put that into a splitter. Into an assembler to make Oh, there we go. To make that one. That was a bit weird. Did I do that in a really odd way? That's what I should have done. Cut that, delete that. Now we've got 4 pieces like that. That's what I really wanted. And we'll put that into a splitter. Into an assembler. So make... No, don't want to assemble at all. No. We do want a splitter though. So we're going to get rid of that. And we'll bring one that way. And come up to here with this. So now with that, we want one to go into a monotoner. And then one to go, that to then go into an assembler, because we'll make this bit here. So we'll do that. That piece in. And that piece in. Rotate that. And flip that. And that becomes that part of it. So that's cool. And now we want 4 more miners. Build the other piece. So we'll go miner that way, that way, that way, that way, and that way. Get in the conveyor belt. If we have that coming out, we can combine that, split it. Yep. And then go, yep. Oh. So we need the furnace next. So we'll go to the furnace. To that. Into a cutter. Cut it again, I think. To give us that. And then do a little hook turn that way into a splitter. Then into an assembler. To make that shape, then into a monotoner because we need to make it all that colour. Then we've got that piece. Now we've got the black piece. I didn't do that. Now we want an assembler to come out of that and that. I haven't really got the best spacing for this, but we'll go there. That should go into there. That can go into there. Now we should have our 2 weird pieces. Drag that on that side. Drag that. Rotate him and bring them together.
New module created.
I forgot, maybe we'll be lucky in that we'll be able to add a crane right there and just go that way. That's fine. Cool. Yeah, bot assembly and the processing plant will need cores as well before they can produce. Completed bot assembly, which is that one, isn't it? Yeah. Deliver cores from the core facility, which is this thing. It's building the cores, which is sitting over here now. We've got nearly 100 of them. Deliver the cores from the core facility, which is that one, which is now over here, to the bot assembly, which is that one. With cranes, they're probably, okay, so you need to come, okay. There's output at that, so we'll add another crane to here, come out of there, and out of there. Here we go. So now we want to place a second harvester pad, link the harvester pad to the basic bot assembly, which is this place, and then deliver those, link the second harvester pad to that, and then deliver the bots into this thing. So it needs basic bots to be delivered. It does need us, I think, I don't see why you can't, you could totally do... where's the harvester pad gone? Where did I put that harvester pad? That is the harvester pad, there. Because that's now building, or making, bots. So we need a harvester pad. No. I'm going to put it right next to the other one. And link that to that. Now we should have basic bots stacking up here. Yep. Then it wants me to put that into here. Nearly. There we go.
Delivery target completed. Rank up.
Yeah, the colony below expect you to deliver a steady supply of them. Check your delivery targets in the toolbar in the top left of your screen. Keep supply up to receive XP and keep expanding the factory. So that's what this is all about. This is the delivery targets. So you can see here we've got one bot. I think we've got a small amount of XP for doing that. If we deliver 60, we'll get 600 XP. 160, you can see the number just goes up and up and up until if we deliver 40,000 bots, we'll then get 6,000 XP. Now we'll go back to this progression tab. That is just building the module designs of 53 of them. All the way down to some down here that aren't even viewable just yet. But we've built all of these so far. And you can see we're now rank 2. Now rank 2 because we got XP got us to the rank. We can now, with that rank increase, we get a, see the top, sorry, top up here, we get an expansion permit. Can be used to unlock more islands and expand your factory. And we're going to do that by building a specific one, because this part of the tutorial, it wants me to buy this one specifically, because we actually need these resources here for the next part of the tutorial section. So we click that, and we go purchase. And we can use the skylines to get stuff across islands, which we will do at some point, but we won't need to do that just yet. Alright. So the production plant, processing plant, which is that one, needs cores, which is also being made by here. That's also used in this. So do we need to get cores to this guy so that it can build grey processor. Oh, excuse me, that's my dog barking. Sorry about that. So we have to feed some cores to this thing, because it needs those plus the mods we're already feeding it to build these grey processors. I'm not really sure what the grey processors are used for. We've got these things at the top here, which I think is what that's going to need, but we shall see. So we need to basically build another basic core facility and have this production line feeding cores to this thing. So could we fit, and I don't know if we can we fit that production line plus the actual facility building itself and get it into here, because that's where it needs to get to. So what are we going to need? So we're going to need 4 miners, furnace, cutter, splitter. You need to build the building in the first place. You need to... I think that might be just a bit too far fitting it in over here, so we might use this set of resource nodes and then we'll get it to there somehow. Alright, I think at this point what I might do, because that's going to take a little bit of time, I'm going to skip forward to my other save, where I've actually done a lot of this already. And at that point we'll be able to look into the tech tree, which unlocks as well, and we'll start looking at what I need to do in the other save. So let's just do that. So let's just press escape. We'll save that one because that's kind of neat. So save that, why not? And then we'll go and load up this one. This is still the tutorial, but it is a bit further progressed along. So that's actually on the other island, so I've already built a bunch of stuff there on the other island. There's those sky cranes that go across. They come across and they flip over and come back that way empty, which is kind of neat. So let's see what we've got here. It wasn't anywhere near as efficient I have been in that other save there, so that's what's a little bit quite messy. What have I got here? I'm not sure what I'm building. Oh, there's the core facility. So I've built the core facility. I've actually upgraded it to a level 2. You can actually upgrade them. Basically what you need to upgrade them is you just need to upgrade them and then you provide them with more resources. And they just build, once they're built their upgrade, they just output more at a higher rate. As you can see, the estimated output is 7.5. I think I've upgraded more than up to 2. There's the one we started with in the first tutorial, as you saw. And there's the bot processing plant, which, as you can see, is going to this harvester pad. So let's just quickly. So this is the first bit. Over to here for the cores. cores are then fed out through here. They go underneath, across here, down here, into this thing that needed the cores from that one. They go to this harvester pad. Harvester pad puts the bots into here. You can see I've delivered 144 basic bots. The grey shards, that's the next. That's one of the other materials you've got to feed it. And we'll get to that. That's these things across here. So they are built through this production line over here. So that's that bit. The basic bot is through here. This is the other core facility, which is feeding, which is also going to here. This is connected to two buildings. They come out of here to here. See, there's a splitter here from that, which feeds into this guy, which is building that grey processor. The grey processor is connected to this guy, and this guy goes through this data center, which turns it into a grey data shard, which is then fed into the delivery dock, and that's this left-hand item at the top center here. And that seems to be the other main sort of progression through the game, is you're making these data shards. So and then down in this production facility is just that processing plant that's helping building this grey processor. I spread this one out a little bit further than I did in the other save, but nowhere near as efficient with all of the miners and stuff. So let's look at where we've got. So now we've got a general progression. So we've made a few more pieces. We've delivered a whole bunch more. We've delivered the level 3 of the bots, or nearly level 3, sorry. We've delivered 60 of them. We need to deliver 160 bots. We've only done 100. We've only done 85. We'll get to challenges in the tech tree in a bit, but we can see we're rank 3, which we've the current objective. And we've got to deliver an android. I'm not too sure what that is exactly at this point. I have to remind myself where that was. Let's jump over the other side here. So this was the island we just built at the end of the last bit we just did, and we've got a what's known as a basic refinery. So if we come down to our buildings, one of them is basic refinery blue pigment. And you can see that that's actually needs these blue hexacrystals, which are what you get out of these things. That's a very specific building. And you can see it needs this shaped item, which has been made through that production line through to here. Then into a monotoner to make the black paste. We've then got that, which is essentially that same thing, but then cut in half, and one half is one colour, one half is the other. But that is what's coming out of here. And then the other piece is this design, which I think, if I recall, is coming from this setup through here. So going through cutters and splitters and stuff to make, didn't need to do that, make this shape and this shape, so making those two shapes, coming in here into assembler, which makes a monotone in the middle there to make one half of that. That makes the other half of that into that, which is building to make that. I'm sure there's with this there would be multiple ways you could build this. You could just have a set of factory, just build the 2x8 by 1 piece, and then split, and then you could just fit into machines. So that's the really neat thing about this game. So there's quite a few in which you can slice and dice it to make the things you've got to make, which is kind of neat. Alright, so that's building that piece, and that piece. We then feed it our hexacrystals, which are just an extractor, which is this guy here. No, sorry. That guy there, on top of this resource node. And that just goes straight into the machine. and that's building this blue, creates this blue pigment, which is coming out by coming across to this guy. Harvester pad comes out of here, goes through underground into this dye mixer, which is mixing oil from this central node here to make blue paint. To make the blue paint, which is just sitting on the belt there. So that's that thing there, and that was needed because I needed to make these shaped items. And that's for an advanced core facility large, which I think I've built. I've not actually built that yet, but that's what I need it for. So that's the next building I'm going to build, which is that one. Advanced core facility small. Oh. Why it's got large when it's got small there? It's definitely got the same shapes. I'm not too sure why it's large up there and smaller than item in the menu. Yeah. Maybe eventually get to a large one. Yeah. So deliver one android. I'm not too sure what that is. Now, before we go any further, let's look at this other production thing that's coming across here. So, if we go back into our... One of the other things we can do here is module challenges. So, with module challenges, you can build these shapes, and you build the shape, and I actually built this one in the middle here. You build this shape, you deliver one of them, you get XP and 6 data shards. Deliver 200 of them, you get 150 and 8, and we are give 800, you'll get this. Now how did I build that? That was using, because as you can see, that shape has basically got a hole through it. Got a hole through it. So, how do we build that thing? Well, they created a machine called a stamper. So, usual things, miners into a furnace, into a stamper. The stamper allows you to basically take the initial shape and stamp out a bit of it. In this case, I stamped out a 3x3x4 part of the cube. So that left me with, excuse me, you can see this piece and this piece here. So that comes out and that goes this way into another stamper, which is taking out the piece out of the middle, leaving me with the actual shape after, plus this extra bit. And that comes out of here and rotates back around here and comes into here to join the other bit. Join that bit into an assembler. So I joined it into assembler and just joined it together to make that shape. So for an L shape. And then put that into a cutter by positioning and rotating it, cut it and made 4 pieces, a 4x4x1, 2 of those, one of those. Yeah, 1 inch, one direction. Put it into a splitter. Now I've got it into going eventually into assembler. So into another splitter, cutter there, which is cutting into that piece. Each one. Into an assembler to make that piece, because I need, well, this thing, I need that shape. So that will give me part of that piece. This bit comes along here, all the way along here, along here, along here, along here, and then goes across here and is delivered into the delivery dock. that's where that number is going up 122. So there's a whole bunch of them you can see. There's a whole bunch of shapes you can make that they'll get you to make somehow. You've got to put, so they're challenges. They're completely optional. You don't have to do them. They earn you XP and they earn you the data shards that you as well. If you come down further, see this one actually, if we were to do this one, do that design, we would earn at the very top end of that 20 of the blue data shards, which is this one here. So that's that. So this Android, now I'm not so sure. I need to figure what the Android is. What is the Android? Basic. Make this Android. Is that what this? Is that what this thing does? Place it down and figure what it does. Okay, just got to feed the parts first. Great. I don't know what it does. Okay. So that's a tricky piece. That's a very tricky piece. Okay, so you've got to build that design first. And then that. So you could build it by creating... Realistically it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 4 by 1 by 1s and then put together in a really odd pattern. And that's kind of the same, but one bit's rotated. Okay. That one's straightforward, it's just 2 by 4 by 8, 2 by 2 by 2, 8, but then it's blue, so that's fine. As I mentioned earlier, we're already creating one part of that here. So we need to replicate that setup, combine them into one piece that is 2 of those essentially stacked on top of each other, then put it through the painter. So that's that makes the paint. How do we make a monotone? Here we go, we've got a painter. Paints a model new colour depending on what paint is inputted. Okay, so that's obviously going to need that. Okay. And what's this thing? This is a dye mixer, which is that thing there. Okay. Alright, now I'm just reminding myself where I got to with this thing. Okay. You can see here I started to build another line of production here, so we've got another resources coming out of that. Okay. So let's look at the tech tree. The tech tree is kind of bonkers. So as a part of the tutorial you are unlocking things of this. So for example we unlocked the skylines so we could move them across. Unlock the extractor, unlock all these things are part of the game. We were then asked to unlock about speed upgrade. I don't think I did that. Level 2, so that's just level 1, we've already got that. Minor, okay, so you can upgrade, that's what I was wondering about before, so you need minor upgrade level 2, what do you need? Insufficient data shards, insufficient rank, and one or more on ingoing connections unlocked. Okay, so you want to unlock that one first. Insufficient data shards. What do we need? 120 blue ones to unlock that. Which would double the speed by the looks of it. And then you can do away about level 3, which I assume is this way. Which requires those ones. Which leads into that, which leads into furnace level 3, furnace level 2, okay. So, yeah, it's some quite involved, process. So there, producers used, here we go, using the process of making androids, hyperbots and blue processors. Which would be the first part of making the blue shards, one would assume. Alright, alright, so we might move that at some point, but that's just so I've got something to sort of go by. Let's actually delete that. Yes. Alright, so we've got one piece of that. We need to make a second one of those and then use this thing to make it blue. So we need to build a furnace first. We might just bring that out that way. So that's a furnace. Put that straight into a splitter. I'm not sure I can put the... Yep, I can. Cool. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. So you cut it first. That's not going to work either. Wrong way. There we go. And so we will cut it that way. And we might even cut it again, maybe? Rotate and flip it and cut it that way. Got that. So now we will put a splitter there. Go there. Did not want it that big at the end. Oh, that's where it's going underground under the tree. Okay. And then we'll put that into an assembler. And reassemble our piece. Rotate, rotate, and that. So now with that, we've got our two pieces in order to make this guy. So first we'll need to put it into an assembler to make that. And then we need this paint into a painter, which was there, wasn't it? Yep, painter. Okay, so that's obviously got that resource, and I'm guessing that's the paint. Let's flip that, and we'll go there, come back this way. Come under there, into there. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do at all. That's not correct. Sure, we're going to give that to me. Go underground. Thank you. Would have done that all much better. And join that into that. So hopefully now we should have... Well, that should just be coming out as blue pieces. Unless I've missed something. Yes, I have. That goes into that again. Ah, that's a bit of a bugger. Can't rotate it. I've got to go and do that.
New module created.
Okay, beautiful. Alright, so that's got that piece done. So on this island we don't have a lot of resources. In fact, we've got very few. They're all over here. And also in this corner here. So we've got a lot of resources, but they're not particularly well placed in some cases. So, we've got one piece built. Let me just put that down so it's easier to get access to this list, this thing. So we need to build that piece. So essentially, it's two of those. No. It's that set up again, but rather than going on top and next to each other, back through the blue painter. And then another piece that's made but doesn't go through any painting. Okay. The first thing we're going to need is we're going to need resources because we need to have multiple miners to make this piece. I'll have to, so we're going to need a lot of resources for this thing, and we've got a lot of space to build it. We don't have the resources, so we could, a couple of options. We could use the skyline thingies to bring stuff from here across, which might be the easier thing to do. Alternatively, we would have to use miners here, of course, and just belt it all the way into this area, some using belts and underground and that kind of stuff. Also an option. But if we were to just to build this piece, 1, 2, 3 of that shape, we need that production line. So that is furnace, splitter, splitter. I might look into whether that can be done better. And then split that belt run into assembler to get that piece. So I'm guessing that was just 1, 2, 3, 4 miners. Okay, so let me do it this way. We've got 4 miners in this corner. I don't think we're going to be able to use them here very much. So what we'll do, just because we're here, let's go this base level and miner, and we'll go that way, that way, that way, that way, that way, that way. Actually, what am I doing that for? Go miner that way, that way, that way, that way, that way to begin with, and then just go all through here, and then we'll use that to get it across to this side, and then we've got our setup over here. So first off, we wanted a furnace, so we'll go into a furnace. Rotate around and flip him. That's a very irritating UI thing that it does there. If I go 5 and I go off that, so me using the right mount button to move the camera around deselects the furnace. Right click to move the mouse, then I unclick it and the selection disappears. It's quite irritating. So go 5 into a furnace. And the shape we need again is that shape. So if we go into a cutter, if I cut it into that, cut it straight into that, so it's coming out of that, out at 50 and then going through at 60. Then into another cutter. No, let's split that into a cutter each. And we'll rotate and flip and rotate, and then do that. And then rotate and flip and do that. So now we've got that coming out as that. Straight into an assembler. So if we do that, I screwed up there. Yes, I have. It's not really what I was trying to do. I really wanted that line there of miners. Oh, I see what's happened. Did not see that when I built that. Bit messy, but that will do because now we can build. Go through there. Why can't I build that? Oh. Oh, so I've got them going the wrong way. That one, that one, that one. So we'll come out of that and go across there again. Yeah. So, miner. Oop. That way. That way. Into there. Yep, that will do. And this will come out. Basically going to a very similar. In fact, we might even do the old copy thing here. Do that. That will give us now, just to do that and that, should give us that shape. And once the materials make their way through the various things here, we should end up with the exact same shape as well. Like so. So, with that, we can... We've got 1, 2 of those. If we had a third line, we'd have all 3 of those production lines. But I don't have that just yet. Though, no. I don't think... Oh, we might be able to make something. What would make more sense now? 1, 2, 3, 4. If we had those 4 coming out here, but we fed that by something else from over here. So let's just quickly rearrange this a bit. So we'll go that way, that way, that way, that way, and go underground. Cut that. Feed that into there. Do that for the time being until this starts to come through. And what we'll do is we'll flip these around and come out across here. We have to redesign this a little bit. So it comes out. No. Goes in that way. We'll basically replicate this again. Okay, let's get this down. I'll build that twice. We need to do that. Straight out of that, into that, into that, into that. That goes into that, and we've now got 3 pieces coming out that are all identical. We've got that piece. We ought to make that piece relatively soon. We'll have the 3 core pieces needed for it. This one, I don't know what to do with that one just yet. I'm also wondering if we're going to have enough. What have we got over there? Okay, we might. I hope we've got enough for that. And what we might end up having to do is putting a splitter in here, splitting that under here. Leaving that there for the time being, so that we can. We've got to paint one part of this blue, don't we? So if we put this into an assembler, take the 2 bits. Doesn't matter which of these we do. We might rotate it that way. That and that. Into the assembler to build that shape. We can come along here with this. And put that into the painter. Flip that, and not just go that. This will be pretty damn ugly, but at this point, so that should give us our. Why is that not moving? Is something wrong here? I'm confused. Why is that not moving? Ah, that would be dumb of me. What help if I hooked the conveyor belt on the wrong side? Ah, there we go. There we go. Alright, so that's that. And now we've got that piece. So we basically bring that along parallel. About there. Assembler. And where we put this. That's going to go into there, that'll go into there. And that should give us our blue piece. Yep. And what's this shape? It's just that, okay. Now we should have that. So that, rotate, flip.
New module created.
Then we'll add a crane. We might even do that. Go right out there. And that will start feeding that piece. And we've already got that piece, which is this one. So if we were to build another crane, let's just bring that into here and go across there. Add a crane. Let me. There we go. And then feed that piece into it. Alright, so we're feeding that, we're feeding that. Now, this thing. So it's 2 layers. Oh, I see. Oop. I mean, you might be able to use a stamper? I think the stamper can only take out one continuous bit, so I don't know if I can make that in a stamper. I don't know if I can take that bit out in an actual single stamping action, because it's got to do one thing. So you end up with two pieces. If I did that in a stamper, you'd end up with technically three. That piece, and the bit in the middle. But you could grab that whole thing, could be a 4x1x8, stamp that bit out, and then read the next bit and stamp that bit out. That might work. Or, likewise with that one, that could be done with a stamper really, because you'd just build that piece. Or you could 4x1x1, 4x1, and just piece it together at the end. I'm not too sure. Either way, we're going to need a lot more resources for that. We've probably got the space to do the construction here. I just don't have the mining bit, but we do here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to feed a whole bunch of mining production stuff into here. Because I'm curious, I really want to get to the point where that builds an android, but I have a feeling once I build it, it's going to need something else, and I won't have that there. We shall see. I wonder if we can go under this water thing. I wonder if we can do that. Let's check that out first. So put a miner in there. Actually go there. No, so you can't go underneath the water, but we can go around there. Okay, so if we go, I really want to come basically out here, in this area here. Any way I'm going to do this is going to be messy. So let's just build the mine up. We're going to need at least, so go that way, that way, that way, along there, along there, along there. Does that work? Yes, that will work. Let's build another miner there, 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 there. Is this joining your four enough? Hard to tell. Yes, it is. And then we may want a third one. So what could we do? We'll grab 1, 2, 3, through there, through there, through there, through there. And that to that maybe? Go that way. 1, 2, yeah, okay. So there's our 4. I think we're going to need at least that many if we need a fourth one. We'll figure it out somehow. But I'm hoping that'll be enough pieces. So if we come this way, that's a bit ugly. Try that again. This way, this way, and this way. We can go under, under, under. And before we couldn't go. Could do is this then. If we were to go under that one, cut with that, and that go into there, and have that go into there. Does that help me? I really need to be able to go underneath here, so let me just see if I can go. To there, to there. That's real ugly, but it'll get me there. Alright, so probably need to go further down before we come across. Let's go down to there. Okay, so what are we going to build first? How are we going to do this? Let's just put this thing down again. What do we need? What are we going to do? The white piece is easy because I can stamp that middle bit out. So that'll be the easiest one to do. We'll get our 4x4 cube, we'll cut it into quarters basically, which will give us a 4x1x1 piece, and then we'll split it, and then once we've split it, we'll put them together, stamp out the middle, and then we're done. So I'm not too fussed by that piece. In fact, the bit that's stamped out can then turn into this bit in the middle. Okay, so therefore we need to do is build, I think I can do, yes, okay. Let me try this. I have an idea in my head, and I may only need 2 rows for this, but we'll see. So, first thing I'm going to do, put a furnace in, that's a given. So we'll grab a furnace, split it round, mirror it, so we've got that. Then we're going to split it into a split cutter, and then cut this 4 ways. And then we are going to split that into an assembler and build our flat bit. And build that. So that's now going to be the top part. What we'll then do is from that we'll go into a stamper. See how the stamper has 2 outputs. So we'll do that. And from this we'll stamp out that bit in the middle. So we've got that piece and that piece. I don't know which piece is going to go where at this point. Which one's that spitting in? Okay, that's fine. So that's going to basically be our end point. So we'll bring it across here. And now we've got that piece. So that piece, when put through a monotoner, will form the middle bit. This bit will come out of here, we'll go into a furnace. Mine up, I need a furnace, thank you. Rotate in that. And then we'll come out of that. Why is that not moving? What are we doing wrong? Oh, because of that. Yeah, okay. What does that? What is that? I'm not sure this move key. Move you across that way. Good. Beautiful, this one's good. There. Okay. There we go. That's now producing our. Let's do the cutter can rotate that way and into there. Now, what do I want this cutter to be? I want the cutter to do that, I think. And then go into a splitter. And then into another set of cutters. which when flipped and rotated and flipped, we get that. Rotate and flip, we get that. And I think I'm going to split. Is that coming out to 16mm each? Yeah, okay, so we're now going to another splitter. One split that way, the other one split that way. Into an assembler each. I think I've got this right in my head. Find out. So what am I building here? I might have this. I might be able to build this shape actually now thinking about it. I don't want the white one, I want that one. So you want to build that bit and that bit. So you just want to basically make that out of both of those. Right. And then we want to build. So we've got our piece, we've got our joined piece in the middle, basically creating a big H. But I can't have a 3 input assembler, I've got to have a 2 input, so we put another assembler there, join that to it, join that to it, and with that piece and eventually that piece, we can make that part of the shape. Then into another assembler which will rotate that way. Join that with that piece. This can go up to here now, which is great. And hopefully we've now got that piece and that piece. So that comes into here, that comes into there, and we've got that shape. And into a final assembler. Should now have that piece and that piece. Nope, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. Because it's a different bloody colour. So, which one's the different colour again? God damn it. It's the bottom piece. So, we're kind of right. Oop. Delete, delete, delete. First off we need to do is put you through a monotoner, which is that one. Then we put you into an assembler. Then we should have that and that. That goes there, that goes on top. And we've now got that piece. There may be other ways to do that, but that seemed to be not wasting anything. Okay, cool. Okay, so we're going to bring this up this way. Into there, add a crane, there, and a piece. Actually not. There's no, oh there's a speed. So 15 in, 15 out to 15 a minute, okay. I'm just curious, is there a tech tree thing that makes the assemblers go faster? I'm assuming there's assembler upgrade, speed upgrade. See, there's an overflow splitter, very similar to what you can do in Satisfactory. Oh, here we go, advanced assembler. Oh, can combine 3 modules into a new one. Can craft module sizes of 12 by 12 by 12. Needs coolant to operate. Oh, okay. Creates a rare chemicals to use the recipes or operators. Says that's a supply drones to events where it supplies some chemicals they can stay. Okay, coolant. Oh god, okay. Oh, well, it's counter. So that is a that option was only available through mods in Satisfactory until version 1.0. 1.1 introduced that as an actual thing you could make as a part of the base game. Oh, there's a similar. Speed upgrade. Yeah, okay. So you can make that go faster. There's another one there as well. I could go 60 a minute. So we've got 15. Doesn't say what rank you need to be. Oh, 4 I'm guessing. Okay, yep. What is our current challenge stuff? How many of these have we done? Oh, nearly got that one. 732. Thing is, once you've made the challenge, there's sort of no need to have the thing being made anymore, from what I can sort of tell. So, that might be something we can get rid of. Yeah, not too sure. Aggressive. So we're about to build those 3 pieces now. So this should be on its way. There we go. Nearly done. I'm curious to see what it needs to build. Creates advanced cores that are blue. Okay, what does it need? Oh, they're just blue ones. Okay. So now we need that to go to a so see there it's got estimated output 3.75 per minute because of the feeding in speed. That can be upgraded once we can upgrade advanced core facilities. So I guess the question is, how do we make a large? You just make a large once we've built the small? Is that what we're gonna... Is that an unlock? Is that tick tree thing? Where are we? God knows where to look for this thing. Can I search? No. Let's go builders. Let's deselect all and book on builders. So we're looking for a Android advanced processing. Advanced core facility. Advanced core facility. Advanced core facility. Oh, here we go. The basic core facility large. Now there's... wait a second. So there's that. So we can unlock blue. Advanced core facility to produce blue. So we can unlock that. Maybe we need to do that? Advanced core to produce blue processors. Okay, not really sure. Let's just build a hover harvester pad thingy. It'll let me. There we go. I'm going to put it so that the output is that way. Link it to that building. I'm just curious as to... Okay. What's the unlock? Level 4 I assume, because of that. That's how effective is the higher this number is, the more building will produce. Oh, hello, there we go. Got that. So there's our XP increase. So now
Delivery target completed.
there we go. Oh, I got that one too. Got a couple of challenges there. A couple of delivery things. So we've delivered that. So now 480 to get the next one. That's obviously going to take a while. Challenges, we've done that and got 350 XP out of that. And we're still delivering, but I don't know what. There's no need to anymore because we've got that challenge. There's not going to get any more from it. I want to know how to build an android. Oh, here we go. Android, small. Needs advanced cores. So that's what that's building. So how do we unlock it? Android assembly. Alright, must be in here somewhere. Android assembly. Did I just completely miss it? Android assembly. Oh, there we go. Right, unlocked. So that's now something we can build. And it creates androids. Good. My lord, look at the shapes. Okay. I don't know if I can build something that big. That's the easiest thing to build, that's easy. And 8 advanced cores, which are starting to stack up here. How would you build that? Actually, that's actually quite simple. That's actually simpler than it looks. Because what you would do is you get your 4, basically similar to what we did with this thing. That build 2 pieces, so you wouldn't split that. You have that come out as your 4 pieces. Go into a stamper each to cut out the middle bit. There's that bit designed. That's actually not too bad. But you need that shape as well, so you'd actually do that 4 times. So you end up with that shape for that. Combine the 2 together and then you have 2 left for this bit. The rest of that's straightforward, it's just 2 pieces joined together. So that's actually quite a simple shape. It's actually a lot simpler than it looks. I just don't know with the shape with the assemblers I've got, I can't make that because I need one, that shape, that, and that. So I don't know how I can make that. Because assembler can only take 2 pieces in. And that's going to require, well, you have to have a 2 input assembler that makes this bit and then one that makes that bit and then join that into the next one, I guess. Question is, have I got the space to do this? Not really. I'm thinking I might buy another island and expand it. Like that might be a good one. Because we've got quite a bit of space. We've got minor nodes, and a bunch of nodes, but more importantly a bunch of space. Now I'm guessing that once we deliver and make these androids, we've got to get them to this thing. It shouldn't be an issue if we're able to then just use the underground bits, conveyor belts, to fit it into that last slot that's there. As I said earlier, we don't need any more of these. So that slot there, in fact, I'm going to remove this production line. It doesn't serve a purpose anymore. This thing. Oops. Was I using that to make something? I was. I was using that to make this thing. So... Ooh, I need to undo. Undo something, right? There it is. Alright, let's just put that back the way that it was. But I don't... I needed this bit. I don't need that bit. Alright, so what we might do, there is this thing here which is called a scrapper. So I'm just going to remove that, put that there, feed that into it. So that means that production line is still in place. Still get rid of the rest of this. Okay. So we do in fact have a spare. We've got an awful lot of miners there, but considering their layout, I'm not too sure how easy it is to get them. We're producing cores there, that's what's going on, something's not working. Okay, so that's just really slow. So the blue bit is taking... Yeah, okay. Ah, it's a bit of paint. The paint is slow. Okay. Okay, so you can see there we've got that going slow, so let's grab an extractor, go underneath that and join that. The extractor's at 10 a minute. coming into it, we might get that up. Because that's... I think you're not getting you would with Satisfactory. To compare it to that is you would have excuse me, you would have a per minute rating for each item. This is just saying it needs it needs 8 items of, needs 8 of this, 4 of that, 4 of that to make, and 8 of this to make this blue pigment at 3. But it doesn't tell you how many per minute. Okay, this may not put it consistent. Assumes a consistent supply of resources to reach crane, and then assumes the correct crane to resource ratio is used. Crane speed divided by resources needed divided by place cranes times output. Okay. Yeah, we've got more resources coming in. Interesting. What's the crane? Maximum operations per minute, 15. There's 15, there's 4 cranes, I see. That's interesting, okay. Interesting, okay. Okay. So, let's think. Or is that map even better? That map might even be better than this one. It's got those resources, but it doesn't have any... Oh, it's got some... It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of those, which I think is the same number that's over here. Yeah. There's even more space, because this one's got... How many has that got? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... They're all in clusters of even numbers of 4, is I reading that right? 1, 2, 3, 4... 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so there's 16 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 16 there. And this is actually more than 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. There's more ground space there. Grab that one. Okay. So I think we're gonna, on this island, we're gonna use, and we're gonna make, now that we can build the actual building, an android. Because we've got the blue stuff, so we need to make the blue paint, which will require that. I think there is an oil thingy, yep, so that'll help us make the blue paint. And because, which is basically replicating, oops, where am I? Replicating this production, so basic refinery blue pigment. It's obviously got a fair bit to it because it requires this, but you can shrink all this down, I suspect, in terms of footprint that it actually needs to make it. Yeah. I think that might be a good time to leave this deep dive into Modulus factory automation. This may turn into a series, and what I mean by this, not not deep, not for the deep dives into Modulus, but it might turn into a solo factory spin-off where you play this game rather than Satisfactory, or it might just be that Satisfactory is either one of these two games, and I alternate between the two. I've not yet decided that yet. Satisfactory is still in my plans to play, but they've just put into, not saying just, 1.2 has gone into experimental, and I'm again waiting for that to come into stable, but also the mods that I use to be made compatible with 1.2, and then I'll get back into that game as well. Until then, thanks for watching this deep dive into Modulus factory automation. Check out the channel for future videos on this game potentially, and other stuff that Steve and myself are doing, including the podcast and his various streams that he does, so check out that stuff. And until the next one, thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.